Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Promise is bringing you guys another video here on Paragon version 4.2, and this time I'll be bringing you guys a card build deck for the new Iggy and Scorch, and I named the name of this deck Emmerich Iggy. This deck pretty much revolves around awakening the Emmerich, and we'll get more into the card details as soon as we get there. So we're gonna do Order and Death. Weird combination for sure, because considering Order supportive, Death kind of selfish more or less, but nonetheless, this deck is revolving around sieging, helping a team out, and just staying sufficient into the mid to late game. But once the game goes on a little too long, Iggy starts to fall off. But let's get into the cards. So in the build we have 300 gold Shadow Ward. Self-explanatory. It's really hit or miss whether you need the Shadow Ward or not. This new version, a new patch, you don't really see Shadow Wards that much anymore because either A, people don't want to spend the gold on them, or B, because they're just kind of inefficient to the point where, if you're playing Iggy and you need a Shadow Ward because you're constantly getting ganked, then please purchase one. But if not, usually your turrets can take care of it for you. Your turrets will start damaging whoever the ganking laner is if they're behind you. So they'll start taking damage, they'll hit you, you look at their health bar, you say, okay, I'm fine, or okay, I'm fucked. And it's one of the two, right? So next card is going to be Armored Footman, one of my favorite starter cards just because lucky block, 20% chance to reduce basic damage. So depending if you're playing in the off lane or in the mid lane, depends on how well this card is going to work for you. If you're playing the off lane, this card's going to work wonders for you because you're mitigating damage from the carry. The carry is going to always try to poke you whenever he gets a chance. That's kind of shitty. If you're playing in the mid lane, you don't really need this card because the mages will usually try to poke you with abilities. So, say for instance you're against a Wraith, he's going to try to hit you with his knock knock. If you're against a Gideon, he's going to try to hit you with his space rock. So it's just the way it is. Cole the Weak, another one of my favorite starters, just because the execute minions passive, basic attacks execute minions below 20% max health. So I don't understand exactly how the 20% works necessarily. All I know is it helps me farm better early on, and also you get that early gold advantage. We're going to scroll down here, we're going to go to Light Step Vanguard. Teleport to an allied structure. It gives you 100 mana just for the card, but teleport to an allied structure, that's really good for early game. Just as the build I prefer to do with Iggy and Scorch, I want to stay in lane for as long as possible. I want to get back to lane as fast as possible so I can farm up, so I can get my gold, so I can get my card points, so I can stop them from taking priority objectives, so I can stop any siege on my turret as fast as possible. Pretty much just to make sure that I have a constant lane presence and that there's no way that I can lose step, essentially. So Light Step Vanguard, hit or miss card. If you want that type of playstyle, then by all means I'd say this is a good pickup. If you don't worry about that too much, or perhaps has one of the gems that lets you leave base moving with advanced move speed, then perhaps this card isn't for you. So in case I ever wanted to go damage oriented early on, I'd get Invader Mage, 13 power and 12 ability armor penetration. That's really good for early game considering that people haven't really started building ability armor yet. So now they have the base amount of ability armor, and that's mitigated by 12. So now you have essentially, say for instance, counter starts off with 20, you have 12 ability armor penetration. Excuse me. And now she has 8, and so now you're doing even more significant damage to her in the early game. You're poking her out of lane, you're making her stay away, and that's essentially can happen for pretty much most lane matchups such as Gideon or Shinbi. Next card would be Brilliant Fortification, 1,000 gold and 4 intellect points. So the thing about this card, in my opinion, is that even though you're in mid lane or if you're in off lane, you constantly have a way of helping out the other lanes while not having to be there. All allied structures are immune to damage for 6 seconds. That is a very significant amount of time to be immune to damage, considering the fact that they're still shooting shots, and if they have more than 1 to 2 minions on top, 1 to 2 heroes attacking the tower at one time, it can make the difference between losing a structure or keeping a structure. This card gives you 12 power and 72% mana regen. That's really good, and the cooldown for this card is not very long. It's 90 seconds, so a minute and a half. That in a video game, a minute and a half seems like forever, but if you try to look at it outside the fact, 90 seconds really isn't that long because usually they siege maybe within you know, maybe within a 45-second window of one another, if they're lucky and if their lane opponent isn't back in lane at that point. So honestly, this card is a good pickup just in case you want to worry about the other lanes before you get to your full siege build. So we're going to scroll down here, we're going to scroll down, and we're going to get to Stagnant Dominion. So this card usually replaces an Invader Mage if I want more damage. Pretty much Stagnant Dominion, 16 power, 40% mana regen, ability slow. Ability damage slows enemy move speed by 150 for 1 second. Now this card stacks with your turrets, and if anybody knows the new IGGY AND SCORCH, the turrets is insane range and insanely OP. So say for instance you're about to get ganked by a Chimera and you have this card, then your turrets will target the Chimera who's hitting you. It will slow down his movement speed, give you enough time to get away, and also give you enough time to maybe outrange him and start poking him from a distance. Perhaps even pop your ulti to keep that laid on suppression on him. And that way, any type of gank, any type of attack from a melee champion or hero onto Iggy at that point is going to be somewhat futile just because you have more move speed than they do, and you also have consistent damage coming onto them while they're trying their best to kill you and stay alive at the same time. So another card is Flag Barrier, which is 7 points in agility. I typically don't go for agility cards, however this works well with the deck, and I'll tell you why. Flag Barrier gives you 29 attack speed, and minion leader aura and minions buff me. Nearby friendly minions gain 150 max health and 40 movement speed. Minions also give you 25 basic damage when nearby. So with the Emmerich build, right, if you're constantly sieging waves, the Awakening of Emmerich card has a special passive that allows this card to be very useful for you. You're always around minions, they'll always have more health and extra tanky, and are always moving towards that objective at a faster speed when you're around. On top of that, you're shooting faster, and which means you're putting out more damage at a more consistent value. Whether you have damage or not, you're still hitting faster, you're still hitting more than whoever is attacking you if they are on top of you. It is a good card to have with this build, and once I get to the Awakening Emmerich card, you'll see why. Another card that you may want to pick up, maybe Gates of Salvation. It's 7 points into Intellect tree path, but I'd say it's kind of worth it just because 80% mana regen, 25% ability armor, and you get the heal aura and elevate. So pretty much heal aura 225 health every 45 seconds to nearby allies, and I'm assuming yourself as well. And then on top of that, increase the frequency of healing by 2% per attribute point purchased. So it doesn't say exactly what attribute point, so let's go out the fact that if you max out your intellect tree and also put points into your other trees, 2% stacks up over time. Each tree has 25 points you can put into it, and so at that point 25, 50, now you have 50% reduction. The heal is coming up around you in half of 45 seconds, so I'd say roughly 22 and a half seconds you're getting that 225 heal for you and your allies. We're going to scroll down, and now we're going to get to the card that makes this deck, Awaken the Emmerich. 17 power, 8.8 health regen, and the active ability on this card is convert all nearby minions to your team and grant all nearby minions Death Touch and Drain Life. So what does that mean? That means that whenever a wave is coming towards you, say for instance that there is an enemy siege wave coming towards you with a super minion in the back of it, or say for instance that multiple waves of an enemy team has compiled and is now pushing against your standard wave, if you activate Awaken the Emmerich, it will transform all of their minions onto your side. They will all become your team's minions, and on top of that they have passives with Death Touch and Drain Life. Death Touch and Drain Life, they get to sustain in lane and they kill the enemy minions faster while pushing at a further speed. And like I said, Awaken the Emmerich really goes well with this card right here, Flag Barrier, just because now they're moving faster, you hit harder, and they hit and they are a lot stronger as well. So that card works extremely well with Awaken the Emmerich. I used that combination in a few games prior to this video just to test out and see how well it works out, and the siege potential behind it is immense and amazing. It can really make or break a game just because you're either going to be sieging and the enemy team will beat you to it, or you'll be sieging so hard that the enemy team cannot stop you from taking the turret. We're going to scroll down, and I believe that is the end of that build. So we're going to go over to the next page and look at the attributes tree. We went strong for the intellect tree just because, you know, you're building Emmerich and you're building a bunch of other intellect cards such as Invader Mage, and so you really want to have these points in here just to get to A, more potential in lane with keeping mana, and B, also giving you more siege potential, and you'll see why. So auto mana potion, gain 1.5 mana regen for 15 seconds when you fall below 40% max mana. So that's really good for staying in lane, just because Iggy's want to throw out his turrets as much as possible. You want to have at least 2 to 3 turrets out around you as much as possible, just in case you get ganked, so you can pop your ulti and spray down whoever is attacking you. On to the next one, Deadly Mana. Killing an enemy minion increases max mana by 1.2. Mana is very important to Iggy, and especially important to the fact that, like I said, he revolves around his turrets. Epic made it a priority to make Iggy's new kit revolve around his turrets. So with that being said, the more mana you have, the better off you are. Healing spells. Heal 3.1% ability damage dealt. His turrets deal ability damage, and his passive always does burning stacks. So with that being said, they burn, you heal 3% off it. Your turrets hit somebody, you heal 3% off it. And that's just the way it goes with everything. His Molotov cocktail, heal for 3% off the consistent tick damage. So every tick, you get 3% back. Ruthless spells deal an additional 1% ability damage for every 10% of enemy heroes missing health. In this build, you're not really building that much damage, so any little bit helps, especially considering that since you're going to be in such a weak state and all you will be doing is sieging, you're really going to need whatever it takes to take down an enemy hero. And lastly, Amplify Aura. Nearby enemy units take 12.8% increased ability damage. This works well with the sieging, so enemy units includes structures, includes enemy heroes, and includes enemy minions, every enemy unit. So with that being said, anything around you, especially the minions, will be taking a lot more damage from your turrets and a lot more damage from your Molotov cocktails in general. So it gives you more sieging potential, more presence, more dominance in lane, and that's what you need when you're trying to get that inhibitor towards the late game, towards the 30 to 35 minute mark if the game goes on that long. And then we put 1 point into the agility tree for auto health potion, just so you can stay in lane a little bit longer. Like I said, you'll be able to pick up Vanguard just to be able to teleport back to lane. But if you want to stay in lane longer, get more gold, be more helpful, and be more sufficient to your team by keeping your tower up longer, auto health potion will be the way to go for it. So guys, we have auto mana potion, deadly mana, healing spells, ruthless spells, and amplify aura, maxing out the intellect tree, and we have 1 point in agility for auto health potion. Our cards are Armored Footman, Awaken the Emmerich, Brilliant Fortification, Hold the Weak, Flag Barrier, Gates of Salvation, Invader Mage, Lamp Lighter, Light Stamp Vanguard, Sacred Alchemy, Stagnant Dominion, and Tower Strider. I didn't go over Tower Strider and Sacred Alchemy because I've been thinking that these cards probably aren't worth having in my deck, just because you have to teleport back to lane. So this card, even though it would make it sufficient to run away, say for instance Chimera dies if he decides to dive you under tower and does not have ulti up, but at the same time you're teleporting back to lane with Light Step Vanguard. And this card, even though it gives you a shield equal to the amount of damage you're putting off, this build is revolving around sieging and just trying to push one lane out until you get victory. Hopefully your team being able to distract the enemy team from coming to mess with you. So the final build or the final look for this deck will probably and most likely be, for me every time, Awaken the Emmerich, Flag Barrier, and either Gates of Salvation or not Invader Mage, Stagnant Dominion. There it is. So yes, Stagnant Dominion, Flag Barrier, and Awaken the Emmerich will be my final build. So with that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully I gave you guys some type of insight or some type of way to think about building your deck if you want to play Iggy in this current meta right now. I know right now he does a lot of damage, but at the same time he can still do what he did before, which was stick to one lane, siege it all the way through, and be an annoying constant lane dominating presence. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm starting and I'm building and I'm trying to find a way to, you know, help out you guys in your gaming experience. And also, this is also a relaxing way for me to get out of my comfort zone and to talk for an immensely long amount of time, longer than what I'm used to help you guys out with it. Thank you guys, and this is Promisers. Take it easy.